Hey everyone, welcome to the second division video of this unit, and we'll be doing two things. The first thing that we're going to do is kind of review together how to fill out the organizer as you're watching a video. The second thing we're going to do is to answer the question, how can you solve multi-digit division problems using partial quotients? We've done this for a couple of days in class, so hopefully this video is a good refresher, good review for you. It's not an easy skill to do. It's new for many of you, but if you keep working hard as you already are, you're going to get it and it will click. So you've got your organizer in front of you. You have your first and your last name written on there. So that's the first step. Second step is look at that box that says, what am I going to learn? And go ahead and copy down the focus question. So it says right here, how can you solve multi-digit division problems using partial quotients? So if you need to hit the pause button, that's A-OK. And you can go ahead and write that down. So moving on here. I'm going to start you off with a story here. There were 192 students that are looking to go on a field trip. But I need help dividing those 192 students into 8 groups because we're going to have 8 chaperones. Okay? So we're going to use the partial quotients strategy of division to solve this, okay? You're going to see a bar that I added right here in this slide, okay? And we're going to list all of our partial quotients on this side of the bar for this method, okay? So I've still got 192 students, and I need to divide those kids into 8 groups. So my first step is going to be to figure out what I already know. And what I definitely know is place value. And all of you are really good at place value too. And I'm just going to look at our dividend right here, 192. And I'm going to kind of put it in expanded form just to help me out a little bit. And I know that that's 100 plus 90 plus 2. And I'm going to use that as a guide. And I'm going to leave that right up here at the top. Okay? So what I'm going to first do is I'm going to figure out how many 8s, right? How many 8s can go into 100 right here? Because I've got a 100 in that one digit right there. So I know that, let's see, there could be at least 10, because that's a really nice kind of round number, a nice happy number to deal with. So I know there's at least 10 groups of 8 in 100. So let's see here, I'll put a 10 as my first partial quotient. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply 10 times 80, okay? Or 10 times 8, I'm sorry. And I'm going to write 80 right here. Now I'm going to subtract. I know that 2 minus 0 is 2. 9 minus 8 is 1. And 1 minus a whole lot of nothing is also 1. Now I've still got 100 right here, okay? But now my dividend is now a lot smaller. So I've already taken care of 80 students out of that 192, but I still have 112 of those students to divide up. Okay? So now I'm going to take this 8, and I'm going to look down over here. And I'm going to say, how many 8s are in 100? Well, I could say how many 8s are in 112 without going over, but I'm still just going to stick to how many 8s are in 100, just to keep it nice and easy for me. And I know that there's at least another 10, for sure, okay? And once again, I'm going to multiply 10 times 8, and that's also going to give me 80. I'm going to subtract. So now all of a sudden I've taken care of 160 students so far. So how many do you think we'd have left? I know that 2 minus 0 is 2. Can't do that, so here, regroup the 100 and make that an 11. I know I have 32 students. So I have 32 students now left to divide up into these 8 groups, okay? So I think next, how many 8s are in 32 without going over? I know there's at least 1, 2, 3, because that'd be 24. But wait a minute. I know that 8 is a factor of 32. And 4 is the other factor. So there are at least 4 groups of 8 and 32. So again, I'm going to go right over here. I'm going to multiply 4 times 8, and I get 32. I'll subtract them again, and I have 0. So as you can see right here, everybody, I have no remainder, but I'm not quite done yet, okay? Let me erase this for you so you have a better idea. Okay. Not quite done yet. Okay? Because I still have to add up all of my partial quotients. And 10 plus 10 plus 4 is 24. And I take this answer and I put it at the very top. So I know that these 192 students going on the field trip, if they're divided into groups of 8, I know that there will be 24 students in each group. Now, for the model problem that we just did, all of that will go in the first box that says model problem. And you can put all your math thinking from that problem in here. But now you'll move to practice problem 1. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write the problem down. I'd like for all of you to hit the pause button. Try solving it on your own. And when you're all set with it, you can hit play again and watch me as I kind of think aloud and I solve the problem as well. And then we can check and compare answers. So I'm going to start off with a problem. We can kind of stick to field trips and in groups. And so I'm going to give you 260. Let's say 260 students are now going on a field trip. And I'm going to have 4 groups. These will be big groups, but I want to divide these 260 students into 4 groups. Okay. And what I'd like you to do now is to hit the pause button and when you're all set, hit play. So welcome back. Now, I'm going to go through and I'm going to kind of think aloud as I solve this problem. So how many 4s are in maybe 200? Let's see. That's 4 times what would be pretty close or exactly 200. And I know that, let's see, I know that 50 times 4 could be, that's 200. But let's try that. So I know that there are at least 50 groups of 4 in 260. So 50 times 4 would be 20. And add a 0. Now I'm going to subtract. And I'm going to go ahead and say, well, let's see. I'll subtract here. I know 0 and 60. So now I've taken care of 200 of those 260 kids, and I have 60 left to divide up. So I'm going to think now, how many 4s are in 60? How many 4s are in 60 without going over? So again, I like to kind of stick to kind of nice, happy numbers that are easy to multiply and easy to divide. So I'm going to say, well, there's at least 10. Okay. So I know I'll multiply 10 times 4, and that will give me 40. Okay. And I'll subtract. I will 0, 20. And so I've kept, using nice happy numbers, and I'm left with another happy number. So I have 4. How many 4s are in 20 without going over? And I know that that's 5. Okay. And I'll multiply 4 times 5, and that would also give me 20. And I subtract, and I have nothing left over. And I also know that if my divisor is larger than the number that's down here, I'm good to go. Okay? So all I've got to do now is to add up my partial quotients, and I have 5. Okay? 5 and 1 is 6. So my answer, I'll put right up here, and I know that these 260 students, okay, will be divided into 4 groups. And now I know that there will be 65 students in each group. Please solve this practice problem 2 on the back side of your organizer. There is not a third practice problem. And that concludes the lesson. So once again, you answered the question, how can you solve multi-digit division problems using partial quotients?